admiral who lives as far in the future as the edge of the universe is in the past. His 6,000 odd years are akin to 60 odd of ours. Black holes, wherein we find the admiral as a young ensign, drunk and alone.
We who travel star to star and live like dew upon the petals of the suns, we who pollinate the stigmas and bouquets of systems, it is we who know why those flowers burn. Their fires signal how alone they are, until, consumed, they draw themselves close and let nothing go, keeping nothing, and light.
The mariner, wherein the admiral awes his ensigns with an exotic tale of sex and adventure, and reveals having read an ancient poet.
I lost consciousness near Spica of the ancient Ptolemaic constellation Virgo. For an instant I wasn't. Then I began again in the unplumbed depths of genetic seas. From subatomic electric sex I coupled with every living thing. What phylogeny knows, I knew. The kingdoms and their species. As the poet said, all that howled, meowed, barked, brayed, belled, yelled, cried, crowed, all that are locked in vegetable silence, and all cells of these, from each world in all dimensions.
Rest and relaxation, wherein the admiral waxes nostalgic.
A six-dimension system I visited the year I made captain. The system designated as Matterflux 2, where young officers went to exchange molecular structures with rerum primordia in sundry dimensions for therapeutic purposes. A time and place I've since discovered is listed in stellar tours as being in my bicuspid during the latter part of my 17th year. Strange to have been there and not know then where I was and when.
Transplants, wherein the admiral reveals an ongoing interest in anthropology, but avoids an ethical problem.
The intergalactic cross-cultural file records many instances of what it calls cloneries. Take a world, clone the elite, and the clones serve to provide spare parts. For the artists, new hearts. For the politicians, tongues. New heads for kings, synapses for scientists, kidneys and livers for merchants. For judges, spines. For doctors, hands. frontal lobes for teachers, eyes for pontifices, cortices for scholars, and that most complex and delicate of surgeries, transplantation of the spirit for warriors whose souls burst in the black places among the stars.
Politics, wherein the Admiral talks about the weather.
Yes, I was of the party that voted for weather. We prevailed because some article in the section of the weather bill granted the king a new world he wanted for his daughter. His father, as you recall, had banned weather centuries ago. At that time, King's Council hired some modish stellar aesthetician, an exterior decorator who colored our star puce and our sky silver. Time became a great puce pendulum arcing through a silver mist. At night, a phantasma of the ball retraced itself. Now we have our weather back. Tomorrow's schedule calls for random storms and green spouts.
Ballistics, wherein the Admiral indulges his passion for a certain ancient philosopher.
The tendency for worlds to specialize has been remarked. Mighty oceans, vast continents, skies given over to a single dialectic. Take, for example, the giant moon we know as Bliss, the fabricating place of bliss sticks, a stick for every known orifice. You know the jingle. You know how diverse the holes of sentient life. Who has not stuck bliss up, in, through, between? What human has not spent decades on that moon, spending through every pokeable organ? What human after did not spend decades dressed in clouts or gowns, sexless as sand, until the day one could again bring or receive flowers, do the ancient foxtrot, consider procreation, lust for another?
The pathetic fallacy, wherein the Admiral, professing at the Academy, concludes a lecture on the sexuality of the cosmos with some general facts on incest.
The void, then, is its own egg, quickened by hot streams of star death, shot from one great burning ball collapsing. The void is its own womb, yoking these streams through an ecstasy of time. The void is its own belly, big with star.
Games, wherein the Admiral takes a stand.
I saw the king 10 years ago at the games. His players lost, some foul or other committed by a novice near the white dwarf companion of Sirius. The king raged. It was to that binary they sent the young player's corpse. The dangers of gaming for the king. The weeping family appeared on screens for weeks. A judge condemned the king, who sent a surrogate to some edge or other. Within the year, the judge was dead. The king's games go unattended. Few watch the great domed screen. I myself will not celebrate the decade this year, will not see the king.
Prisons, wherein the Admiral argues against reform, asserting the appropriateness of certain famous sentences.
I have seen men exiled into mirrors, others constrained by sonnets or a pair of rhymes, still others locked in their own ventricles or in pig balls. I have read of cases where men were turned to wine, drunk, pissed away and fished sometime later from the sea. I knew a man who served 15 years as the letter R in a maintenance manual. I myself, as an ensign long ago, was for a while an edge upon which eggs were broken, and the prisoners all sentient all the while. Since all crimes are crimes against fancy, all punishment depends upon the wit of wardens. Granted these days the high rate of recidivism, still the crimes are small, the punishments exquisite.
Power, wherein the Admiral concludes a commencement address, dampening the occasion and confusing the cadets.
Finally, a word about power. Wherever creatures play with that exploding toy, time tick-tocks in some strange directions. As an ensign, I was invited to a coup, and power bounced around the room like light, was poured in teacups by a wife, was set on some captain's fat finger, a ruby, hard and dark and red, and burned from ancient eyes and portraits hung upon the silent walls. They threw the ball to me, I threw it back, but promised silence. Later, an admiral disappeared, a world blinked out, and for 2 weeks or so the viewing screens went blank. Not long after, I went up a grade, and for a time, men left the rooms I entered.
About an admiral who lives as far in the future as the edge of the universe is in the past. His 6,000 odd years are akin to 60 odd of ours.